Good evening, students. Today we are going to start our chapter, our environment. And by today we are able to finish this because we have to learn about what is environment, what are the components of environment. This environment include biotic and abiotic factor. Biotic means the living one. How these living organisms survive, for that they need the energy. Energy is obtained from the food. So considering this food, the food is supplied through the food chain. So we have to learn about the food chain and food wave, and how the energy is transferred from the one category of the food chain. So particular category of food chain is called as the tropic level. So we have to learn about the tropic level. Only this thing. Then how our activities are affecting this environment. Exclusively we have to learn about this ozone depletion. Other challenges like global warming and many more are there. Okay, so students, we have to learn about the environment, the definition and component. This environment have to be defined in the term of or in relation to the ecosystem and their component. Even this include your biosphere. Then within the ecosystem we have the food chain, food wave and tropic level. Then means all these things are related to environment. After this we have to learn about the factor affecting the environment, like waste generation, like biodegradable, unbiodegradable, those things. Then we have to learn about the ozone depleting substance and depletion of ozone layer. Then how to protect this environment, like triple R method, reduce, recycle, reuse. That thing we have to learn. Only these are the three topics that we have to learn. So the chapter is very easy. So let us first start with the environment. A student, you are most commonly using the term like called surrounding. What is surrounding? Anything present around us or around you is called as surrounding. Like while you are sitting in a room, the table, chair, wall, fan, all these are the surrounding. But environment is a bit or not a bit, even much bigger than this surrounding. So environment includes everything that exists around you and that affects you and by which you are able to survive. Means the air, water, the non-living thing like your table, bench, fan, the living thing or uninvited guest in your house like lizard, insects, the plant around us, your other neighbors. So all these things are included in environment. So a student, environment is nothing but it is the total or sum of the living or biotic as well as non-living or abiotic or physical component found around us. Get it? Which is able to affect us or have the potential to affect us. Get it? So that is the definition of environment. Means this environment includes everything around us. So it is everything in surrounding and far away. They are called as environment. So everything that exists around us or in our surroundings or that surrounds us, This includes your living as well as some or certain non-living things. These living things in biology are called as biotic factor. The non-living are called as abiotic, or sometimes also called as physical factors. Example, around us there is plant. So plant is part of environment. The insects, the birds, the other community, other kind of animal. So every kind of animal that we are looking, even from the very smaller one to the very large one, means the diverse varieties of life. That is one thing. Means all of these are the biotic factors. The other one, abiotic, these are not the living but inherently required by the living beings for their existence. What they are? Like the sunlight. Sunlight is what? Energy, students. So it is the energy. So whatever the source of energy, it may be even maybe your solar energy. That is the ultimate source of energy for all kind. The food that we are taking, so this is for supplying the energy by the heterotrophs. The other, air that we need for breathing so that we can survive. The water by which we cannot survive, so magical liquid for the living being. Important one, the soil over which we are standing. So the soil or the land or the rock, all these are the abiotic factor. So what we are observing that these biotic factors are inherent for the survival of abiotic, the abiotic factors are inherent for the survival of biotic factors. So unless or until these abiotic factors are present, the biotic factor or the living being cannot exist. So these are needed for their existence and survival. And the interesting thing is that the environment includes all these things. So environment tells us what? Everything that exists around us and on which we are depending are the part of environment. Okay, student? So the definition is very simple. I am writing the proper definition. A student, we have to learn about each of these biotic, abiotic factors in more detail. How these biotic factors are taking their food. Means how the food is taken by this animal. That is the food chain. Get it? So the various activities or the process involved in this that we also have to learn. So write down a student environment. So environment is sum total of all biotic and abiotic factors that surrounds and potentially influence an organism. Means potentially affect an organism. So right, environment, it is the sum or sometime also written as total or sum total together, sum total of all the biotic. The term biotic means what? Living things And abiotic. Abiotic means what, student? Non-living or physical things like our pen, pencil, it is a physical things. So sum total of all the biotic and abiotic factors that surrounds us and either affect or potentially affect. And potentially means have the tendency. So even if you are forgetting this word potentially, that doesn't alter the definition. And potentially affects or influence an organism. It is called as what? Environment. So student, in this definition, the definition is very heavily loaded. You must understand sum total of all the biotic and abiotic factors. These are the two things. And these factors are interrelated. It is written as that influence an organism. Correct? So it is this one. So what are the component of environment, students? So this is the definition of environment. What is this environment? I had explained. Now let us come for the component of environment. The component of environment is also present in our definition. Means all the factors. What are the various factors which is influencing this environment or which is constituting this environment? So the very first one is your biotic component or biotic factor. Component means the factors. Example are very important. Write few example. What these are? These are all the biotic factors are what? Biotic factors are all the living organism. They are called as the biotic factors. So these living organism exist in our biosphere, and the smallest unit where this living organism can interact with non-living or among the living organism itself is called as the ecosystem. Okay, those things we also have to learn here. So here we have the plant and animals. The second one is called as abiotic component or the factor. These are also called as physical component. Mean the same thing whether abiotic term is used or whether physical component or factor word is used, that mean the same thing. Means all the non-living living resources around us. An organism. Resources are what? The things that is useful to an organism is called as a resource. Like this pen is a resource for me. Okay, but this pen may not be a resource for some other person who is not teaching. So resource may simply be useful. So what are their example? The example can be the non-living, anything like our land, water, air, the energy, maybe your solar energy, or the chemical energy. Which kind of chemical energy is present here? Yes, a student? A student, energy in food. What is that? We have learned in the biology first chapter, nutrition. The purpose of nutrition is to provide the energy for the organism, for their maintenance of life, for their survival, for the repair of the damaged cell, for their growth, and many more functions. So this energy is inherent things or the component of environment and the living being to survive. So many more factors or abiotic factors are also there. Biotic factors, we can write few more example, a student, like forest, the plant, the useful animal, they are the biotic factor. More example of abiotic can be written like river, ocean, etc., lake, any kind of thing. Like the dry wood, even dry wood, even the metals, not the metals, better word is the minerals, that is useful for particular activity, the minerals, etc. Get it? So these are the biotic and abiotic factors. So right, the important thing is abiotic factor, it is very important. Biotic factor is important or is very helpful, is very helpful in existence of biotic factor, because without a biotic factor the biotic factor cannot exist. Without a biotic factor or component, student, the life or biotic factor cannot exist, cannot exist. Therefore environment include both, includes both, and not only including the both, but how they are affecting one another, how is the regulation between them, means how is the balance between them, all those things, and their regulations, and their regulation, or regulation means balance or cycling, or rather recycling. Okay, like we have learned about the water cycle, air cycle in our class 9, all those things. So it is this one. So environment includes everything. It is very important. Now, a student, here we have learned about these various components. Now, these components are the resources, or these abiotic components are the resources. Not only abiotic, even the biotic can also be the resource. Like the plant is also very important resource for us because they provide us food, oxygen for our life. They help in water cycle, and we are able to get the pure water for our life. Get it? So right, these components are acting as resource. So write it. These components include both biotic and abiotic. Okay, student, are acting as resource. Means what is the importance of component of environment? They are resource. Resource simply means useful. Means anything which can be used for our life. Like children are resource for their parent are resource for their children. The comb what we are using is a resource. The pen, pencil that you are using are also the resource. So these components are acting as a resource or provides resource. Okay, acting either itself acting as a resource or provides resources by their processing. This is the first thing. Example, even the forest is useful for food, fodder, rain, shelter, etc. Okay, that's why it is acting as a resource. The water needed for life means without water the life cannot exist. So whether living or non-living, each of them can act as a resource. It is the first thing. The next important point is that these components are regulated by environment. So components as a regulatory factor. So these components as regulatory factors. It was asked once, what are the importance of the component of environment? Your answer should be based on these 2 points. Okay, now student, though you write environment include biotic and abiotic component, but the key thing in the question is what are the use of this component? Okay, so these components are acting as a resource. These components are helpful in regulating the environment. So component as a regulatory factor. So regulatory factor means the balance among resources. Like the water get recycled. That is example that we have learned in our class 9th. One is called as recycling of carbon cycle, or recycling of nitrogen cycle, recycling of water called water cycle. All these are called as what? Biogeochemical cycle. Those things we have learned. So the example is biogeochemical cycle. Or if you could not remember this, then you must write as the recycling of resources. Example, maybe your water cycle. So all these activities are happening where? Happening in the environment, and all these are required for the existence of life. Water cycle, carbon cycle, it is. nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle, many more cycles are there. So the environment have their own tendency to recycle, it means own pace or own rate of recycling. But if much more pollutions are added, or what is the rate of recycling of environment or rate of digesting the waste or the pollution generated. So if the generation rate is more than that the absorption rate by environment, then that causes problem with our environment called environmental pollution, and many more abnormalities in our environment arises, like global warming, ozone layer depletion, these things. Okay, though they are regulating by themselves, means environment have their own resilience. Resilience means coming back to their initial state by recycling or gaining their original state. But this recycling rate is fixed, and if our activity is going to generate more waste, then this recycling is disturbed. As a result, there is environmental pollution. Okay, this is important. So this is the component of environment. A student, so different components are interlinked. Different components are interlinked for existence of life. So this interlinking of different components so that the life can exist is called as ecosystem. Okay, so such reason or such part or such any area or such volume of environment where this biotic and abiotic factor exist and they can sustain there, it is called as ecosystem. Like pond where the fish can survive, so fish can take their food, they can generate the waste, that waste is again get recycled in the pond, so this way the life exists. And the study about this environment is called ecology. So right, a study about environment, this study about environment is called as ecology. So for ecology, what we are getting, the ecosystem is the part of ecology, where means in ecology means in the study of this environment we have to learn about the ecosystem. Ecosystem involve the interlinking, their activities, everything. Now in this ecology, the life means the biotic, and the biotic is what, the smallest one is the community or individual. So we'll start with the community, and the largest life existing zone called as biosphere. These things we will learn. So let us start with the ecology. What is this ecology? Ecology, very simple or very easy. It is the study about environment or the branch of science or biology that deals with, so you may write branch of science, or in more you may write this as biology, that deals with or deals with a study of, or only that includes the study of environment. So study of environment is called as ecology. Okay, student. So this ecology is very important. So how is this environment? What are the factors affecting? So the various ecology includes the various component of environment, their interlinking. This interlinking is called as what? Ecosystem. So it is including the study of ecosystem, their interlinking, and the factor affecting this, and factors or activities is affecting environment. Okay, this thing. So it is called as ecosystem. So what is the smallest thing with which the ecology start, or what we analyze? The life existing zone is called as the biosphere. So biosphere include everything, but even the life can exist in a small pockets, which is called as the ecosystem. Now this ecosystem basically consists of living organism. So particular organism, so we are starting with the organism. So individual or organism is the basic unit of ecosystem or ecology. So right, so ecology doesn't involve a study about the cell or a study about the tissue, digestive system, other system. They are the part of biology. But once the organism or the body of organism, then how this organism is interacting with other organism, and how these organisms are interacting with their environment, those studies are called as ecology. Okay, sorry, yes, ecology, or a study about the ecosystem. So student, so the smallest unit or the basic unit means the smallest thing from where we start analyzing this ecology of a study in ecology is organism. A study in ecology or ecosystem is what? Organism. It is asked. Okay, student. So the question was like this: the smallest unit of ecology or ecology starts with the study of organism, cell, tissues, all of this. So student, it is the organism that you have to keep in mind. It is important. And the largest unit or the largest part is our biosphere, which includes everything. The largest volume or part is biosphere. Okay, student. So how is this ecology, organism, biosphere, how they are constituted? That I am going to draw. So for ecology, we have to start with which one? Organism. So organisms. Organism may be your any plant or human, or maybe cow or cat of any kind. So organism always mean the individual. If these organisms are present in larger amount, then we define a term called population of that organism. So individual organism collectively present, say the elephant. So population of elephant can be, or population of human can be defined. So this combines to form population. Now this larger population, so the population of human, population of elephant, one population compare with the other population, that leads to form what is called the community. So community. Now this, when different kind of community and abiotic factors are there, then that form the ecosystem. When different ecosystems are placed together, they form biomes, or this is also called as landscape. Landscape. Now all the landscape, air and all these things where life can exist is called as biosphere. It is very important. So student, organism example, maybe your elephant, maybe your cow, maybe your particular kind of plant, or human, etc. So individual organism. So population of each of these can be defined, and in community the population of elephant have to be compared with the population of cow, population of human, population of plant, all these things. Means plant community, animal community, we define that. Means different example, animal community and plant community. Now particular organism perform a specific task or a specific activity for their life, as they are generating certain things, maybe their byproduct, but that may be useful for the other. Like honey, that we are getting is the byproduct of honeybees. Okay, but these honeybees are used by the other organism to remain alive. So this way, in particular zone or in a smallest zone where certain number of communities are existing, and that leads to the mutual interdependence by which that area or that zone can survive in itself, is called as ecosystem. Example, the forest that we are taking. So inside the forest, even without intervention of human or without electricity, the life like lion can exist. Not only lion, even the plant over which the deer or other herbivorous organisms survive. And these herbivorous organisms are taken by carnivorous animals like your big cat or tiger, leopard, etc. After that, the tiger or the lion. So in forest, so mutual dependency is there. Once these leaves fall on the ground and tiger dies, that is further decayed by the insects, and that adds the mineral into the soil or the land, over which again the new plant can grow. So this way a complete cycle is existing. So in ecology or in ecosystem, always there is cycling. So while food is transferred, means it is for their survival. So food is required for energy. So food transfer or food chain simply means the flow of energy. In that way we have to look. Even we are considering the river. in which the fishes and other aquatic animals survive. Ready? Even if you are taking a glass of water, in that even various small microorganisms are surviving. So even a glass of water can also exist as ecosystem. The pond, the lake, they can exist as ecosystem. Even the paddy field, where the paddy is growing, but in the water, the fishes and other algae are also able to survive. So this paddy field, all these are ecosystem. Now large number of ecosystem combines to form the biome or landscape. Example, we have learned about the temperate region and many more kind of zoning of our earth. So that bigger area which contain large number of this ecosystem, that is forming a landscape. Like if we consider our India can also act as a landscape where there is different seasons, different kind of ecosystem, like different rivers, different forests are there. So it is called as biomes or landscape. It is basically landscape. Later on, landscape combines to form the biome. Now, so such a landscape or biomes ecosystem on the earth, along with the life existing at the lower level of earth in atmosphere, means some of the virus and insects pathogens are flying in our environment, that one. Some of them are inside the earth to certain depth. If we are considering all those, it is called as the biosphere. So it is all the life existing zone. So this way we have learned how these organisms are the fundamental unit and biosphere is the largest or biggest component of our ecology. Okay, student? So population of elephant, cow. So population is for each species. So for each species. So students, how is this? How is this biosphere? For the formation of ecosystem, first thing is we need the community of living thing. In this, we need the abiotic factor also. Abiotic factors. So the living as well as non-living collectively able to form the ecosystem. A student, various living and non-living things that we are observing around us is, one is the atmosphere. So let me denote the atmosphere by a circle. So this is the atmosphere. Atmosphere is existing around the earth, but the earth itself have water as well as the hard land. So that water and these lands can also be drawn. So this water containing zone is called what? Yes, student, hydrosphere. And land containing zone or the rock containing zone is called lithosphere. A student, if you are going too much inside the earth or inside a rock, no life exists. If you are going very high altitude from the earth in your sky, no life exists. If you are going very deep inside the sea, no life exists. But on the surface of sea, on the surface of earth, in the lower region of atmosphere, the life is existing. So for the existence of life, we need all these three things. So whatever this common reason where all these three things are existing, so this area or this region is called as biosphere. So this is our biosphere. Okay, student? The life can exist in this region only. Okay, so this is our life existing region. For the existence of life, all these three things are required. So this life existing zone life existing zone or region is called biosphere. Means all the region over the earth where life exists is called biosphere. So students, now this biosphere, this life may exist in a smaller region or in a smaller pockets. So this is the life existing zone. This includes many smaller area or region where life exists. Not only exist but sustain. Life can sustain. Can sustain. So this sustain means they will continue for a very longer time, not 1 year, 2 year, even for millions of years. So life can sustain, called as. So this life sustaining or life existing zone is called as ecosystem. Means large number of ecosystem or all the ecosystem collectively called as ecosystem, collectively called as biosphere. Called as biosphere. It is very important. Okay, student. Now let us come to the. This is important. What is biosphere? Biosphere is nothing but it is the life existing zone. So we may write for the biosphere also because sometime the definition is also asked. Biosphere. The term bio itself indicates life and a sphere means existing zone. Okay, so life existing zone is called as biosphere. Now this life can exist in that zone or in that region where both land, water and air is present. So right, it is intersection. Intersection means what? The common zone. You may write in the common language as the common zone or region or common area So it is intersection of which one? All the three, student. Lithosphere, hydrosphere. Hydrosphere means water containing zone. So it is your water zone. Lithosphere means your rock or land zone. And what is the other one? Other one is air. Air containing zone or air envelope around the earth is called as atmosphere. So this is the gaseous or air zone. Okay, so that's why we have represented this biosphere by the common region of all these three. Correct? So this is very important, you have to keep in mind, because biosphere is asked to define. So you just draw this figure, write this much line, it's enough. So biosphere includes everything. So it includes both biotic and abiotic factor. It includes what? Part of environment. Part of means environment even includes even the bigger than biosphere, or sometimes this environment and biosphere is taken synonymously also. Okay, it is this one. Means it have both. It also have biotic and abiotic factor, like environment. Means whatever environment we are calling, sometimes it is also called as biosphere. Now here the important thing, or the smallest functional unit where the life can exist in biosphere is called as ecosystem. So write smallest structural and functional unit of biosphere or environment where life sustains. Means they can continue from one generation to another, is called as what? Ecosystem. So ecosystem is the part of this biosphere. Okay, student. So we have to learn about the ecosystem. What are their components? Okay, student. This thing we have started with the organism. The organism is the basic unit of our ecology, but we have to analyze at the level of ecosystem. Here few definitions we have to write, and only very few things we have to learn. Where this tropic level, food chain, food wave, only those things we will define, learn, and then we will go for the ozone depletion. By that the chapter will be finished. So let us start with ecosystem. In this chapter, these definitions are important, and understanding which, including which factor and all those things, they are important. So this ecosystem is what? This ecosystem is interaction among different organisms in their surrounding, as well as how they are interacting with their non-living factors or abiotic factors. So this a smaller zone in which this interaction exists so that the life can sustain in that particular area or that particular zone is called as ecosystem. So right, so interaction among the organism in an area together with non-living constitutes or constituents of environment is called as the ecosystem. So right, it is a smaller zone where interaction means what, student? Are you getting interaction? Interaction simply means one is interacting the other, means one is depending on the other by the means of their food chain relation or some other way also. But all these things, in all this activity, there is always some sharing of energy, means basically the energy flow. Energy is the better word, and common term is our food flow. In this term, the interaction we have to understand. So a smaller zone where the interaction among organisms along with, so among the organism or together with or along with, we may write together with the non-living living constituents of environment. So such a smaller zone is called as ecosystem. So a student, what is this ecosystem? Just understand this carefully. So ecosystem is a region or zone. Any zone or region have biotic, like the plant, one plant, animals. So animal 1, animal 2, etc. This thing. The zone also have abiotic or non-living, abiotic or non-living. Example, there will be air, not air, the better term is your energy, basically this thing. So in this zone, for the survival of animals or plant, they need this air and the energy. So energy is transferred from the plant to animal, and the plant itself is getting this energy from the solar or the sun. So such a region where these biotic and abiotic factors are interacting. Even this plant is taken by the animal 1. Maybe possible that animal 1 may be taken by the animal 2. So this relation is for their food chain. Food chain. Even air and energy or sunlight taken by the plant for their nutrition. and recycling of these abiotic factors. So such a smaller unit where this life can exist, so this region is called as ecosystem. A student, let us take the example of ecosystem. If we are considering a river, how is that? So river is an ecosystem. What is inside the river? There are various aquatic plant. Okay, this aquatic plant is taken by the smaller fish, or that leads to the formation of planktons. These smaller plant like things which are floating over the upper surface of water, that is taken by the fish. So it is taken by the fish. The smaller fish one may be taken by the fish 2, and so on. Now this fish and this thing can survive. Later on this fish will die, again that will decay in that aquatic life, or in river though it will flow, and if it is the lake or pond we may consider, then that will add mineral to the soil, and that leads to growing of more aquatic plant. So this fish, even this may die and decay, so it adds mineral for the growth of aquatic plant. So it add mineral. Later on this mineral is taken by the aquatic plant, and you are knowing that the plant can exist only if the sun ray or sunlight is existing there. So this sunlight or sun ray is adding energy, that is the ultimate source. This is taken by aquatic plant. So from here to here, the food chain. Now this is the reverting back, or for the cycling. These are called as the detritus chain, but these things are not in your syllabus. So this is called as, because it is decayed by the smaller organism, like ant is able to decay the leaf and the various smaller dead organism. So it is called as detritus chain. This way the complete cycle is formed. So as long as the river or pond is existing, this activity of adding the energy by the sun, or better term is this one. So sun not inside this, but sun is continuously adding energy. So it is adding energy. So sun is always giving energy to any kind of ecosystem. Therefore this river is an ecosystem. So write down example. So first, even a glass of water, it is also ecosystem. A paddy field where the algae and fishes can survive. the river, pond, ocean, lake, all the bigger oceans, the forest, where particular kind of life exists and they will exist forever. So ultimately all these, or in any ecosystem, there is always flow of energy. So right, energy is integral part of any ecosystem. So in any ecosystem, so energy have to be flow. So sun is ultimate source of energy. So sun is the ultimate source of energy which is captured by the ecosystem, and then that energy gets circulated among themselves, which is captured. A student, you will observe that only around 1% of this solar energy is captured in any ecosystem or in this environment. Around 1% only. Captured. Remaining are lost or going back to the outer environment. So sun is the ultimate source of energy for any ecosystem, and the captured energy from the sun by one organism is transferred to the other also. Example, the plant giving the fruits or grains for the herbivorous animals, like even human also. Now other carnivorous are taking this herbivorous animals for their food. Food is what? Energy. Getting? So this energy so you have to write energy is circulated among different level of organism in an ecosystem. So how this energy is circulated to sustain? Sustain means exist forever or exist for a longer time. To sustain an ecosystem, otherwise the ecosystem cannot sustain. So how is this energy flow in an ecosystem? That leads to the formation of food chain. So this leads to your food chain. So what is this food chain? That we are going to learn. Okay, student, any doubt then please ask.
So can you show the previous page?
This food chain is very important. Now we are going to learn about the food chain. And one more thing is there. So different level of organism. So organisms can be classified in particular level called as tropic level. Tropic level. So these two things we have to understand. The food chain become multi-linked, means one food chain linked with the other food chain, a network of food chain is formed, that is called as the food web. So these three topics we have to learn quickly. Just within half an hour we are able to do this. So student, so right, ecosystem and flow of energy. You may write this as the food chain, or you may write the topic as flow of energy in ecosystem. Flow of energy in an ecosystem. Any kind of ecosystem you are considering, whether forest or aquatic or terrestrial, ecosystem may further be classified as aquatic and terrestrial, but those classifications are not in your book. That's why I am also avoiding. But if it is asked, then you may write like this: ecosystem may be classified as, here we are getting some of them are existing in water medium, it is called as the aquatic ecosystem. Another one which is existing on the land, like our forest, like our, so that is forest and other thing which are existing on the land surface, it is called as terrestrial ecosystem. Not very much frequent, but once it was asked, means water medium. So water medium is required. Here land medium. So on land the ecosystem is formed. Example, ocean, the river, the paddy field, pond, it is okay. The land, like forest that we have taken, the grassland, even the desert. Desert is also one kind of ecosystem. Need not human be there, but there are various other insects and organisms which can survive inside the sand. So those things. So all are the ecosystem. So type of ecosystem you also note it. Once it was asked, what is define aquatic ecosystem? So the ecosystem or the smallest unit inside the water where the life exists, they are the aquatic. Terrestrial, the ecosystem existing over the earth surface is called as terrestrial. So for any ecosystem, the important thing is the flow of energy. So how is this flow of energy? So right, flow of energy is required for sustaining life in any ecosystem. So whether you are taking any kind of ecosystem, always there is flow of energy. Now this flow of energy, how is the energy can flow from one level to another? So in different level of organism, there are different kinds of organism existing in an ecosystem. These kind different kind of organism which are taking their food in different forms or from different sources, they are called as particular level of that ecosystem. So this level is called as the tropic level of ecosystem. So flow of energy. So this flow of energy, how this occur? By means of food chain. By means of food chain. So what is this food chain? So student, food chain is nothing but it is the how one organism is obtaining food from the another. Okay, so method of obtaining food, it is this one, or the resources from which the food can be taken. So the technical definition or the basic definition is like this. So the series of organisms feeding on one another at various biotic level. So write the definition. It is chain or series of organisms feeding on one another at various level or biotic level. That is various category of organism in an ecosystem. This various biotic level means that is various categories of organism So these categories of organism are based on their food intake. Categories of organism based on source of food, based on food intake or food source. Okay, it is that. So these various categories of organism are called as the tropic level, and this chain or this series which is formed is called as food chain. So right here, so various categories of organism placed for the source of food in food chain is called as tropic level. Let us understand this. So the two terms like tropic level and food chain, this we have to learn together. And this tropic level can be represented in the graphical form of pyramid called number pyramid, or other kind of pyramid can also be drawn, but those things are not required. Here you have to learn about the tropic level and food chain. Let us take example. So the ultimate purpose of food chain is what? So what is happening in this food chain? So through food chain, energy is transferred from one tropic level to another. So right through this food chain, energy is transferred from one tropic level, means various categories. We will see there are 4 such tropic level. So even from the bottom one to the higher one, that we will see. From one tropic level to another. So in this case, we will observe that there will be some organism or category of organism which is producing the food, another that is consuming the food, another organism is consuming the organism which has consumed the food produced by producer. This way a level is there, and there will be one called at the top level, which will be carnivorous. So that will be the end of this level, but after death or through the detritus chain, it is recycled. So right through the food chain, energy is transferred from one tropic level to another. So this food chain is ultimately for transferring the energy. We will see how much energy is transferred. All those things we have to learn. A student, and based on this level in food chain and the activities performed, these organisms can be classified into the 3 category. One is called producer, another one is called consumer, and the third one is called as decomposer. So right, based on activities performed in a food chain, what is food chain? I have already explained. Do not forget the flow of energy, or how the food is, or how is the feeding. So feeding of one on another, it is simply called as the food chain. So means the feeding habit or the ways of taking the food. So based on the activity performed in a food chain, different organisms are grouped as, one is what? That is called as the producer. Producer are what? Those who are generating the food. They are able to produce the food. What they are? All these are autotrophs, green plants. These are the producers. So these organisms, means all the autotrophs, are getting their food by the process of photosynthesis. Therefore, they are placed at the very basic level of tropic level, called as the producer level or first tropic level. Tropic level. It is this one. So producer in the first tropic level. What could be the example? Example could be, already we have written here, all green plants. They get their food through photosynthesis. It is this. The producer must be in large number. So it is in largest number. Why? Because the other organism have to depend on this producer, and while the food is taken by the other organism, only 10% of energy is transferred to their higher level. So for survival of the other level, the lower level must have more energy, means more number. That we will see after the, means the exact cause of this, why it is in largest number, that we will write even after writing the energy flow, means the percentage energy flow. So it is in largest number. The second one is, means the grouping. First one is our producer, so do not forget this, producer. The second one is our consumer. But this consumer can again be classified into the three category. The second one is our consumer. Consumer are what? They are taking the food produced by the other. They are taking food produced by other, or taking the food from other. It is this one. Now this consumer can be of three type. One is called as those consumer which are depending on the producer for getting the food, means which is totally herbivorous. So that kind of consumer is called as primary consumer. So what is this primary consumer? So they takes food. Food or energy mean the same thing, okay? No, directly from producer only. Directly from producer only. So only from the producer they can take the food. What could be the example, student? So all the herbivorous animal. So all herbivorous only. Herbivorous animals. Example, what they are? Goat. Then many more are there. Grasshopper, deer, rat, etc. All these are consumed. But this category is called as primary consumer. This primary consumer is called as second tropic level because it is directly depending on the first tropic level. So you can write it is second tropic level. Now, even in this consumer, we have to go for the other two. One is called as the secondary. Write it quickly. Consumer, then we will write for the tertiary consumer. So secondary consumer will called as the third tropic level. Tertiary consumer will be called as the fourth tropic level. And few example we have to write, and we have to connect this. By that, we are able to form the food chain. And connecting various food chain together, we are able to form the food wave. Okay? Written? So write down the second part. Means in the same consumer we are dividing now the second category called as secondary consumer. So secondary consumer are those consumer which are taking their food or nutrited from the producer or the primary consumer. So takes their food or energy, or taking food is also called as nutrition, from either primary consumer or from the herbivorous itself, from primary consumer or from producer itself. Produce. It is the two. Means what? Which kind of organism will fall in this category? Omnivorous. So omnivorous organism fall in this category. Omnivorous organism. Example, omnivorous you are already knowing, like frog, which can eat the insects as well as the grains and the grasses. Human, dog, cat, it is this one. This kind of consumer, it forms third tropic level. Tropic level is what? Particular category of organism based on their food habit. Tropic level. So underline this. Secondary consumer, third tropic level. We can quickly identify. The next one is our third, is called as tertiary consumer. So tertiary consumer are those consumers or those organisms which are taking food or energy from primary or secondary consumer. From primary or secondary, this is asked, definition is asked, consumer, but not from the producer itself, but not from or not directly from the producer. It is important. So not directly from the producer, but they can gain the food from the primary or secondary consumer. Means which kind of category or which category of organism it will be? It will always be a carnivorous organism. So all the carnivorous organisms or flesh eating, only flesh eating organism are falling in this tertiary category. Example, what the example could be? Yes, students? Yes, lion. Yes, snake. What else we can write?
Eagle.
Python. Yes,
Eagle.
good. Eagle. Other, vulture. A student, we will write this eagle and vulture in another category also called as the detritus, means which are able to feed on the death organism also, but also they can take the live one. So vulture is also falling in this category. So eagle and many other, tiger, it is, they are falling in this tertiary category. It is which level? Fourth level or fourth tropic level. Tropic level. So this way, all the organisms that we have classified into the three category. Means four tropic level and classified into producer and consumer. Now, a student, here we have started with the grouping. The very first grouping is producer. The second one is consumer. The third one is called as your decomposer. So better to, before explanation, let me write it here itself. A is the producer. B is, you also write here, the consumer. And the third one is decomposer. So what these decomposers? Decomposers are the group of organism, or we can also say it is also a particular kind of consumer itself. So write down the decomposers. The third one is called as decomposers, because the question was asked what is the importance of decomposers. So it is important also. So these are what? These are the microorganisms which help in decaying the dead part of the consumers and producers and help in recycling. So microorganism comprising of, means or consist of certain bacteria, maybe your fungi, algae also, bacteria and fungi, which gets or which survives on dead and decayed organism. So it need not be maybe the microorganism, or maybe the bigger one like vulture also. So what is happening? It recycles and replenish. We may call this also as the replenish, means putting back. The food chain. How is that? What could be the example? Example could be the microorganism. It could be your scavengers also, like vulture. It could be your insects also. Even the sometimes ants also act as this. This category in our biology we have learned. What was the name there? This decomposer. Which category? Very good. So this was asked, which of this category fall in decomposer? Okay. So there it was symbiotic, saprophytic. So this way in NTSE questions are framed. Questions are very easy provided you are getting the topic. If you are not understanding what is the topic, what is key concept, then you cannot get it. So these are saprophytic nutrition. Saprophytus. Okay, no? So it may be microorganism or maybe the bigger organism also. So the ultimate objective is to replenish this. This way, in any ecosystem, what we have learned that in any ecosystem, we surely need these four things. What are these? So, right, ecosystem must have the producer, must have the consumer must have decomposer, and after decomposition the energy is again transferred back and it is supplemented by the sun. It is this one for energy. And producer to consumer, though it is taken in the form of food, but still it is the energy is being given here. Okay, all these are the flow of energy. Now this consumer, you may classify this as, if you want to write this in more detail, then you may write this as the primary consumer, then to secondary consumer, then to tertiary consumer. Okay, student, but the important thing is that to decomposer you may connect it here. So to rearrange all these things, we are putting in a pyramidal form. This primary consumer in pyramidal form, it is put as the first tropic level, this primary consumer as the second tropic level, this is the third tropic level, this is the fourth tropic level. Only these are the tropic level that we are considering. Decomposer is just connecting it backward, so not considered in any of the tropic levels. So different tropic level and different food chain called detritus are considered. Or sometimes decomposer is also placed in this fourth tropic level itself. Students, so here the first tropic level example that we had already written, all the grass, plants, planktons, these are the primary. The primary are like our goat, deer, cow, etc. The secondary, what we have taken? Secondary can be our rat, cat, frog, dog, etc. The fourth and the final one, tiger, vulture. These level are important. Sometimes example is also asked which one is falling in which tropic level. Owl, eagle, owl, etc. So a student, here we have noticed that this producer is always producing the food or energy for the next primary, or this producer whatever produced may directly also go to the secondary. For tertiary consumer, so it can be from the secondary consumer or from the primary consumer. So tertiary consumer cannot take the food from producer directly. Okay, so this is the other way of connection that you must keep in mind. Detritus or decomposer also as the tertiary consumer, and this decomposer can destroy or decompose either primary consumer, secondary consumer, or tertiary consumer. To anyone it can go. Okay, to anyone it can go. So to represent all these things, a pyramid is drawn. So you may write. So let us first write few food chain. So example of food chain. Example of food chain. What we have to do? We have to connect one to another. Yes, tell me. The first, what we can take? The grass. It can be taken by whom? Yes, tell me. Let us take it to the grasshopper. This can be taken by whom? May be taken by the frog. The frog may be taken by a snake. May be taken by vulture or eagle basically. So what we are observing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5. Another one may consider this food as the grass to taken by goat or deer by the lion. One may take the food chain in the water also. So aquatic plant are called as planktons. Then these planktons, it will go to where? Fishes. and these feces are taken by whom? By the duck, or even the eagle, or even the vulture. It is okay. It is this. So these are the example of food chain. In all case, we can observe that food chain are of different length. So food chain of different lengths are possible. Also, what we are getting in all this? We are getting that the very first one in all cases are, what is this category? The first category is your, which category is this? It is your producer category. Getting? From producer to going to, if we are considering the grasshopper and goat, it is going to primary consumer, primary consumer, frog, if we are considering the frog, then this frog is for the secondary consumer, snake and vulture. So this snake and vulture both are falling in the tertiary consumer. So it is our this producer. This is our tropic level 1. The next, write this producer as tropic level 1. The primary consumer as the tropic level 2. The tertiary consumer as the tropic level 3. And this is our top tropic level or tropic level 4. So the tropic level 1 is called as the basic tropic level, and the tropic level 4 is called as the your top or apex of the tropic level. A student, here we are observing that in food chain some of the tropic level may be missing. Why? Because we have learned that the secondary consumer may directly take from the producer or the primary consumer. Okay, so that's why food chain of different length are possible and may miss some tropic level, some tropic level also may miss, but surely doesn't mean कि always have only 4 tropic level, may have the 3 or 2 also. So how to represent all this? So student, tropic level I had explained there. So based on this category of intake of their food, particular organism are placed in one particular tropic level. So this tropic level wise we can represent this in this fashion. So let me write for the tropic level pyramid. Tropic level pyramid. We have learned from the above discussion that a tropic level means at the base called as the first tropic level. This is also called as what? Producer. The second tropic level called as primary consumer. The next one is our third tropic level called as secondary consumer. Another one is our fourth tropic level. These are the tertiary consumer. So if we join this, we can observe that this primary consumer level or the producer must be very large in number, and they will go on decreasing in number from one level to another. Why? This area represents their number. So it is in largest number. Now how the food flow or energy flow? Energy flow from primary to means tropic level 1 to tropic level 2, or it may be possible that from 2 to the tropic level 3, or even directly from 1 to tropic level 3 is also possible. And from this tropic level 3 to tropic level 4, this is the flow of energy. Students, regarding the flow of energy means each tropic level have their own energy. Even tropic level 1 getting energy from where? So energy from sun. So if you consider the total energy from sun as E sun, then it is found that only 1% of whatever the energy that is being reached from the sun over the earth, so only 1% of energy is able to absorbed or fixed by the primary producer. So whatever the sun which is falling or the solar energy falling, only 1%. Now let us consider, after getting this 1% energy, the total energy present in this tropic level 1BE. Okay, or we may write this as E1. Then it is found that from tropic level 1 to tropic level 2, only 10% of this E1 will pass. So 10% of E1 will go to the second tropic level. Then where the remaining will go? The 90% is lost. Where? By the death or into the environment. So this thing. So this you have to keep in mind. From one tropic level to another tropic level, how much energy will pass? Only 10% of E1 will pass. Let us call this 10% of E1 be E2. Then it is found that only the 10% of E2 will go into the 10% of E2 is able to pass to third tropic level, and the 90% of the energy is lost. Again, if we consider this energy in tropic level 3, which is 10% of E1, sorry, E2 as E3, then again only the 10% of this can pass through to this fourth tropic level. So 10% of E3. remaining 90% of E3 is lost. Are you getting? So this rule of transferring from successive level is called a 10% rule. So we have to write that, and we have to take one example, and based on that the question was asked. So that we are going to see. So here, student, you have to, in this figure, you have to keep few things in mind. Whatever the total energy falling on the earth, of that only 10% is fixed or absorbed by the plants and autotrophs to trap their energy. So whatever that energy taken, we are calling that as E1. So E1 is what? Just 1% of E sun. Now the 10% of this E1 is constituting E2. Only this much will be available for the second tropic level. Okay, this part is called as E2. Now whatever this 10% reach to the second tropic level, that energy in second tropic level, of that only 10% will pass through the third tropic level. Remaining 90% will be lost. So for this third. For the fourth tropic level, again the 10% of energy from the third tropic level can reach to this one, to the top. So what we are observing, for sustaining the second tropic level, the number of our organism in the first tropic level must be more, so that only the 10% of that can be reached to the second one. Here we are considering that this is the representation of number, means number, more the number of organism in particular tropic level, more the energy, means energy is proportional to number we are considering. So energy is proportional to number. So by this rule, this kind of representation is called as number pyramid. So number pyramid of this tropic level. Tropic level. Why this pyramid? It is in the shape of pyramid where the number is decreasing. So fourth tropic level always have the lesser number of organisms. That's why lion, tiger, these are lesser in number, but the plant must be the in largest number. The insects must be in largest number. Next one, the organism falling in second tropic level shall be lower than the number in first tropic level. So this way, once in your examination it was asked also, lion is always expected to be lesser in, or the least one in our tropic level. Why? So it is based on the energy required. So if the lion is in maximum number and third tropic level organism are in lesser number, then they cannot get that much energy or food for their survival. So they will die by themselves to sustain or to maintain this balance in this environment. Okay, students, so it is very important. So let us go for writing those points. So one, this here we have done very important thing. What are their example wise, student, you must keep this thing in mind, otherwise I do not have that much space to write here. So otherwise you also keep writing the example here for the producer. Let me write few example here. Here maybe your grass, plants, this thing. Second tropic level, in second tropic level we may write for the, what was our second? Goat, cow, etc. In third tropic level, the cat, the dog, etc. The lion, the vulture, etc. Okay, student. So now this example are also asked. which one is falling in which tropic level. This tropic level based question always asks, and another one is based on the energy. So right, so energy flow in different tropic level. Tropic level. Students, so this energy flow is required for maintaining the life. That is one thing. Now, this energy flow always occur. So always occur from lower to higher tropic level. Even the lowest one is our producer. So producer or autotrophs takes the energy from sun. So producer or autotrophs takes energy from sun. So in this way, we are able to understand the higher tropic level are getting energy from the sun in indirect way by first converting it to their lower tropic level. So considering that statement, therefore, sun is ultimate source of energy. In all ecosystem or in our biosphere. That is one thing. Another thing, this is the point number one. Another point we have written here, always flow of energy from lower to higher. Is it possible to flow the energy from higher to lower? No. So flow of energy from higher level to lower tropic level not possible, and also the flow of energy from the autotroph to the sun is not possible. That's why this energy flow is always unidirectional. So write that. Energy flow is flow in any ecosystem is always unidirectional. So, and or we may write the cause as energy flow from sun to producer, then to consumer, or from lower to higher tropical level. Okay, student, it is this one. But reverse flow of energy is not possible. That is, energy cannot flow from higher to lower tropic level or from autotroph to sun. Okay, it is asked energy flow is unidirectional. This way, why it is unidirectional? Explain. Question was energy flow is unidirectional. Explain. Once it was also asked sun is ultimate source of energy. Why? Because even the higher tropic level are getting energy from the lower tropic level and ultimately from the sun. Okay, so both of this explanation you may be asked. Okay, so you must know this. First, we have concluded from the above two things. From these two, we are getting this first one, and second one we have written the explanation, or in short you may also write this: sun is ultimate source of energy in all ecosystem as it gives energy to producer which passes to consumers. Only this much. So ultimately the consumers, whatever they are getting the energy is from the sun itself in indirect way. So these 2 points are asked. The third and important point is while transferring the energy from the lower tropic level to higher tropic level, only 10% of energy will pass. So write down the third point. So while it is called as the 10% rule. So write this first. 10% rule of flow of energy. From lower to successive higher. Do not think from 1 to directly 4. No. To successive higher tropic level. Level. It is this one. That is, what does it mean? So only 10% of energy in tropic level 1, 10% of the total energy of the total energy in level or tropic level 1 can goes to or pass to tropic level 2. Then 10% of energy in 2 to 3, 10% of energy or total energy in tropic level 2 to tropic level 3 and so on. It is this. Means what? Let us once more understand. A student, now you have to tell. Let us consider a figure is given like this. This was asked in your examination. Let us consider 1, 2, 1, 2, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 joule of energy in tropic level 1. Then you have to find the energy in all other tropic level. Getting? So this is our tropic level 1. This is our tropic level 2. This is our tropic level 3. This is our tropic level 4. Then you have to find energy in all other tropic level. Let us call this energy as E1. Then how much is in E2? How much is in E3? And how much is in E4? That is, E2 is equals to what? E3 is equals to what? E4 is equals to what? These are the questions. A student, just you have to calculate the 10% of E1. So what is our E2? Is equals to 10% of E1. This is the formula. So 10 into E1 divided by 100. This is nothing but this is our E1 by 10. This much. Substitute it. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 divided by 10. So it becomes 10 to the power 5 joule. Okay. So the energy available in E2 will be your 10 to the power 5 joule. What will be for E3? Yes, student, can you tell me? Yeah, tell me. For E3, we have to use 10% of E2. Go for substituting. You will get this as E2 by 10. So it become like our 10 to the power 5 by 10. So it is like our 10 to the power 4. Therefore, E2 will be 10 to the power 4. What is for the E4? It is our 10% of E3. This is our E3 by 10. 10 to the power 4 by 10. It is our 10 to the power 3. Okay, this much. The unit do not forget to write joule. It is this. So this is the rule of transferring energy. So this way the question was asked, and these were very simple. It is also asked in your MCQ. So just you have to keep in mind where the remaining energy is going. So a student, just add it here and so on. So very first thing is this one, 90% of energy is lost while transferring, or 90% either remain with this or lost in others. So only 10% will be available for the higher tropic level, lost or stored in itself. So that's why we are always talking in the term of 10% rule, not talking for the 90%. Therefore, only 10% available for higher tropic level. Whatever the present in their succeeding lower one. This is the rule that we need to keep in mind. So this was all about. Now here we have learned that the different food chains and the energy flow in that food chains, but it is found that certain species may be common to more than one food chain. So this way different food chain get connected, and this complex food chain formation is called food web. So right, what is food web? Food web. A student, food web is nothing but it is network of interconnected more than one food chain. Food chain. So this interconnection is done by some species which is common to more than one food chain. So this interlinking or interconnection of two or more food chain is done by certain species which is common to different food chain. So such species are very important and they are called as key species. So these species are called as keystone or only key species, or sometimes also called as keystone species. I think this term was never asked, but up to this much, only the certain common species, that much you have to keep in mind. Example. So food web is what? More than one food chain. Or alternatively, we can write the definition of food web is like this. So complex and interlinked food chain is called as food web. It's so simple. Okay, so food web, let us write one example of food web. Example, whatever the example we had taken earlier, see, we may think like that. Say grass hopper, or over this grass we can have the grasshopper, or insects. Now this insects may be taken by rat, or this may be taken by some other insectivorous. This rat may be taken by cat, or this rat may be taken by whom? A snake. A snake also eat rat, no? Frog as well as a rat. So it was also possible that this insect is taken by frog then frog by cat. No, frog by a snake. Okay, so what we are getting? These insects are the key species. Rat are the key species, and cat may be taken by peacock or vulture or eagle. Okay, and a snake also by the vulture or eagle. So what we are getting, that two food chain get linked. What are the two food chain that can be allocated? One was our this one straight way, another coming to this one. So this is our food chain 1. This is our food chain 2, and this is the linking species. These are what? Key species. A student, here we have drawn 3 food chain, because by linking this way you can go, or by this way you can go. So this is our food chain 3. I think let us stop here. We could not finish the chapter. Though the food, the depletion of ozone, though I need another 20 minutes. Okay, but let us stop it here. Food chain 2, and this is food chain 3. Okay, so these 3 food chain are linked together, so it is forming food web. So this is the example of food web. So 3 food chain linked in this food web. So this thing we have to keep in mind. So food web is nothing but more than one food chain you have to connect. Again, this food web can be, I mean, different concept for the food chain can also be applied here. Like we may write this part as the producer, or tropic level 1, this part as primary consumer, tropic level 2, this part as tertiary. A snake is falling in the next one. The tertiary consumer, tropic level 3, and this is our, sorry, it is our secondary student. And this is our tertiary consumer, tropic level 4. Okay, so food web may also have different tropic levels. Yes, student. So this way we have finished everything what is present in your syllabus, excluding only one topic called environment management, that I will do later. I think today if I could even 20 minutes, then I can do it, but I think it's too late. So let me take few example or few figure from your book for the food chain. So are you getting? These are different food chains. These are the food chains. Where is our food chain? Okay, leave it. So this part is just the simple food chain, but simple food chain are not common. Most common is complex food chain or interconnected food chain. So these interconnected food chain are called as food web. Like here it is a food web. Getting it, students? So those things you have to keep in mind. So which is more common? Second one is more common. So the first one is our food chain. And the second one is our food web. So this is more common. So this is more common. It rarely occurs. Okay, no? So that's why we are always discussing in the term of food web. So three chains linked in this food web, which is more common. If the question is asked, food chain is more common than food web is more common than food chain. This way MCQ is framed. That's why I am writing all these things here. So even the common thing I'm writing is so that you are able to handle the MCQ. So food wave are more common than individual food chain. Food chain are not common. Means what we are observing in the practical life, it is the food wave. Okay, so this was all about. The next one is the effect of this on the environment, means the effect of human activity on environment, that we will learn tomorrow. The energy flow is very important. I have explained all these things, unidirectional and all these things. So only 20-minute topic is left, but okay, let us stop it here. Yeah, student, any doubt then please ask, otherwise still today class was too long. So I have explained everything. Please go through this. Getting? I had explained all the terms and how they are related. So each and every terms I have defined at appropriate places, but you have to remember each and every term. So what are the common terms that you need to keep in mind? They are defined. What is environment? Then what is biotic and abiotic factors? Then coming to ecology. Then what is biosphere? It is also asked. Then what is ecosystem? Then the component of ecosystem, like what is producer, consumer, decomposer. Additionally, what is primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, and also what are the different tropic levels. Student, this decomposer is also falling in, so it is also in fourth tropic level, but it help in recycling or connecting the cycle back. Okay, so these things are very important for you. Then what are the various example of this tropic level? How is the ecosystem representation with their tropic level and the food chain or the part of the food chain in pyramidal form, so called tropic level pyramid. This thing, whose number will be more, how is the energy flow, this thing I had explained. Okay, student. So the three important things are, very first, sun is the ultimate source. Only 10% of energy can flow to the higher level, means the succeeding higher level. Another, the flow is always unidirectional. it cannot return back. So sometime in one level, say a student, if in tropic level 2 energy is given, then you are asked for tropic level 1, then what will be 10 times of that. Okay, so even question is also asked in this way. If E2 is, or we may write this as E3 is 100 joule, then what is E1? The question is asked like this one also. E1 means the lower energy level. So from this E2 you can calculate 10 times of E3. Not because what is here? It is our E3 is equals to E2 by 10. Are we getting? So E2 is 10 times of E1. Like our E2 is 10 times of E1. So E2 is 10 times of E1 because E2 is E1 by 10. A student, E1, not E2. Here this suffix. Or even if we want to calculate this E2, then it will be 10 times of E3. Therefore, 10 into 100 is equals to 1000 of joule. And E1 10 times of E2 because E2 is E1 by 10. So it becomes 10 into 1000. So it is 10 to the power 4 joule. Okay, student. So this way questions are framed. So you should be cautious for all these things. Getting now? So first I have taken this question for this tropic level. So you should be cautious for that. So this was all about. So please do not forget any of these things, whatever the concepts we have discussed. So what is our, so find this energy in all other tropic level. This was the question ultimately. This was our question number 2. So energy calculation is also asked. Then the lastly we had explained food wave. So food wave is interconnection of many food chain, and this food wave is more common. Other rules, the 10% rule and everything remains the same. Getting? The important species which is linking different food wave is called keystone species. Keystone species, if this keystone species is extinct or removed, then this interconnection get disturbed and the entire food chain is severely or get affected to maximum extent. So this was all about. Yeah, student, I hope I had explained everything. So just quickly write down the homework. So do your textbook red blue questions, textbook blue questions excluding ozone related. Also try to finish your textbook exercise questions also. Okay, tomorrow in 20 minutes we are able to finish the ozone, then we will continue with the next chapter. I think tomorrow we shall continue with the Mendeleev periodic table, so that chemistry can also be finished, or even hereditary or evolution we may start. Yeah, student, tell me any doubt? No doubt? So can we stop the class? Yes, students? Or still you people are interested to continue and finish this topic? Okay, anyhow, let us stop it here. Okay, student. So this was all about today class. So